Since the special event last week, we got access to a bunch of new information regarding items, something that has been missing for a while from the patch notes. And with that, we now know that they have added a prefix/suffix system into the game, and that is what we'll be analyzing today. As always, keep in mind that the game is still in alpha, so everything here is subject to change. I will update the description of the video in case anything here becomes invalid. So first let me show you some of the items I was able to gather from YouTube videos. These were the provided boots given to the participants of the special event last week. Here we can see that these armor pieces seems to have 2 prefixes and 1 suffix. Keep in mind that named items may not follow this rule, but most regular items seems to do so. And the naming structure seems to be the following. The first prefix is based on the primary crafting resource of the item. So in the case of the tier 3 items here, they are sateen, rawhide, hugged leather, or steel. Nothing really new here, since the preview already had that naming scheme. Then we have the secondary prefix. This one only exists for armors. This is tied to the armor set. Another thing that we can notice here is that since the March update, each weight class of armor has 3 possible types of armor distribution. Those being physical, more physical protection, elemental, more elemental protection, or balanced, equal physical and elemental protection. This secondary prefix seems to align with that. In our examples here, the Duelist, Explorer and Soldier sets are balanced sets. The Trapper and the Sage sets are elemental sets, and the Heavy set is a physical set. Finally, we have the most interesting addition, the Suffixes. The suffixes seems to be tied to the item's stats bonuses. So depending on the combination of stats that you have on a given item, it will have the correlated suffix. These stats bonuses can be of 2 types, hybrid or pure. The hybrid type has a bonus for 2 unique attributes, one being the primary, that has a higher value, and the other one, the secondary, that has a lower value. For example here, the sateen duelist shoes of the mage is a hybrid with intelligence as the primary and focus as the secondary. Now, when both primary and secondary are the same stat, is what we call pure bonus. They still have around the same amount of total stats as the hybrid, but they are all combined into a single stat line. The example here is the steel soldier boots of the soldier, that is a pure strength bonus. Now, for every combination of primary and secondary stats, they seem to have added a dedicated suffix for it. To explore that, let's build a matrix of possible stats combinations and fill it with the suffixes we already know. So on the vertical axis we have the primary stats, and on the horizontal one we have the secondary. Therefore, on our matrix, the diagonal line will represent the pure types. For example, as we saw before, the pure strength bonus, that has both strength as primary and secondary, has the suffix of the soldier. By looking at more items, we can see that for the same pair of stats, which one is the primary of the 2 matters. For example, when strength is the primary and constitution is the secondary, the suffix is of the barbarian. But when constitution is the primary and strength the secondary, the suffix is of the knight. Now let's fill in the other suffixes we already know. For pure constitution, we have of the sentry. For pure dexterity, we have of the ranger. For pure intelligence, of the scholar. And for pure focus, we have of the sage. For primary strength and secondary intelligence, we have of the spellword. For primary constitution and secondary focus, we have of the nomad. For primary dexterity, secondary constitution, of the brigand. For primary dexterity and secondary strength, of the cavalier. For primary intelligence and secondary strength, of the battle mage. For primary intelligence, secondary focus, of the mage. For primary intelligence and secondary constitution, we have of the occultist. For primary focus and secondary strength, of the zealot. And finally, primary focus and secondary constitution, of the cleric. There were quite a few suffixes I could not find out the names for, since they do not show up in any video I could find. But I will have a spreadsheet link in the description that I will fill in as soon as I discover what those are. So that's it. If you read an item name now, for example, Steel Duelist Gloves of the Knight, you can deduce it's tier 3 because it's made of steel, It's balanced between elemental defense and physical defense since it's duelist, and have stat bonuses for plus constitution and plus strength because it's of the knight. All that without having to actually look at the item details, just by reading its name. Pretty cool, huh? So I hope you guys learned something. If you found this useful, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel, alright? Take care and see you guys in the next one.